Hey guys, and welcome to Sexy Thor's Thunder Talk special of WrestleMania 35. I was originally going to include it in your weekly Thunder, but I figure WrestleMania is a massive enough event that it probably kind of deserves its own episode for this sort of thing. My second plan was actually to do a recording of a reactions episode because I was invited to go watch it at the House of M with the Mosers that regular listeners of Thunder Talk and Nerd Bliss are all too familiar with. And I was especially going to get reactions from, especially with my dear friends Nick and Matt Moser, who I went to Raw Atlanta with back in February. And sort of as a kickoff point, because we are sort of in talks of doing our own wrestling show under a different umbrella than Nerd Bliss or Thunder Talk. But anyways, this is just me now, just talking about all the little individual matches and all that. So enjoy. So starting off with the kickoff, there were actually 3 matches in there, along with a whole bunch of, JBL and Paige and all that. But starting off was the Raw Tag Team Championships, and oh my god. Man, this could have been part of the main show because it was Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder versus the current champions, the Revival. And the thing is, Kurt Hawkins has been on a 269 match losing streak. So this is WrestleMania. Magic can happen. And magic sure as shit did happen because he won. Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder did. I think it was even Kurt Hawkins that got the pin too. So yeah, streak's broken. And then the next night on Raw, they had a rematch with the Revival over the belts, and they won again. So now Kurt Hawkins is 2-269. He's riding a 2-match win streak. Wow. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal happened with Michael Che and Colin Jost being participants as demanded by the host of WrestleMania, Alexa Bliss, and sure enough, they got wrecked by Braun Strowman. And even Colin Jost, being the troll character that he is, came out wearing an Odell Beckham Jr. Cleveland Browns jersey, which, if you remember, this is MetLife Stadium where the Giants and Jets play. And also the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal happens with Carmella as the winner, which just broke everybody's heart because the Viking Queen of WWE, Sarah Logan, 1/3 of the oft-wrecked Riot Squad, it seemed like she was the winner. And everyone thought it was going to be Asuka. You remember Asuka, right? Former SmackDown Women's Champion. Yeah, it seemed like it was going to be Sarah. And then Carmella came out of nowhere and put her over the top rope and won. Also, the Cruiserweight Championship from 205 Live went on as previously talked about on the show. There was the whole tournament for number 1 contender. Tony Nese defeated Cedric Alexander, of which Tony Nese was the best friend of the current champion, Buddy Murphy, until Murphy was Murphy and beat the shit out of him after he won. So yeah, Tony and Buddy no longer actually friends. Well, Buddy Murphy, no longer Tony Nese's friend, also no longer Cruiserweight Champion. Yep, Tony Nese is now the new champion, and they had a rematch on 205 Live on Tuesday, and Tony Nese won again. So on to the main show. Not the main event, but the main show. It had seemed like the Universal Championship was going to be the second to last match. I think that's what everyone was expecting right before the triple threat winner-take-all for the Women's Championship belts. But Paul Heyman interrupted Alexa Bliss, like so many people have. But even worse, he interrupted Alexa Bliss and Hulk Hogan. And he said, well, fuck it, if we're not going to go first, or if we're not going to go last, we're going first. So that was a surprise to everybody, including Seth Rollins. And so Seth went down there like the fighting champion he desires to be. And Brock started beating the shit out of him before the match even started. Like, he was beating the shit out of him for like a good solid 10 minutes. And then finally the bell rang and Seth was holding his own. But, Brock had already softened him up a good bit. So, when the referee ended up distracted, Seth did like he did Monday and low blowed Brock. That's the WWE PG version of saying that Seth hit Brock Lesnar really hard in the nuts. But unlike the new Daniel Bryan, this was for a good cause. Because then Seth proceeded to curb stomp him 3 times. 1, 2, 3 pin, and now Seth Rollins is the new Universal Champion. We have a new Universal Champion for the first time since SummerSlam when my boy Roman Reigns won it. And technically Roman was never defeated for it. He had to relinquish it, so that's an interesting storyline to look to for the rest of 2019. Next up was AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. A whole little, coming up from the indies versus, using advantages of having his family already in the business. That was Randy Orton. And also having the factions like Evolution and what have you to help bring him up further. Well, AJ proved that hard work works hard. Or hard work works hard when talent doesn't work hard. Or hard work works when... I don't know. Y'all know what the fuck I'm trying to get at. Also, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship happened with the Usos as retaining champions. And they won over Aleister Black, Sheamus and Cesaro, and Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. But then Tuesday night, they fought the Hardys, which the Hardy Boys were actually in the Battle Royal. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And then they fought the Usos Tuesday night for the championship belts. And now the Hardy Boys are once again tag team champions. See, now I can go back and retroactively say that because I brought myself almost all the shirts of all the competitors that were competing in WrestleMania with me to the party. And I put on all the different shirts as they were fighting. And at first I could say, well, I guess everyone that had a match on WrestleMania that wasn't a Battle Royal won, which is true. But now the Hardy Boys won their match on WrestleMania Tuesday, and now they're SmackDown Tag Team Champions, so I can say all my shirts won. Because really, let's be honest, let's be real. WrestleMania doesn't end with the main event. WrestleMania ends after Tuesday. Or after whenever Raw and SmackDown are over. Saying that now since SmackDown's probably going to be on Fridays again starting this fall maybe. But yeah, WrestleMania truly doesn't end until Raw and SmackDown that follows it have happened. Because ask Paige and AJ Lee. Shit can happen. Also, Shane McMahon finally got what he deserved for the most part, as The Miz beat the holy hell out of him in their Falls Count Anywhere match. And then they had one of those classic Shane McMahon falls. But unfortunately, Shane was the one that landed on top of Miz, unconscious, so Shane ended up getting the win. Also, Sasha and Bayley were defending their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against the Iconics, Natalya and Beth Phoenix, and Nia Jax and Tamina. And holy shit, if you could believe it, the Iconics won. And they're the only SmackDown representatives too, because the SmackDown women's roster is honestly, I guess, just depleted as fuck, even though they've got great superstars like Asuka and Naomi. But yeah, the Iconics are now pretty much the top dogs of the women's division. You say, but there's still Charlotte Flair. Can we not? Also, what could have been the main event if the women's championship wasn't the biggest fucking deal ever the WWE Championship, where the true People's Champion, besides Becky Lynch, Kofi Kingston, went up against the new Daniel Bryan. And, ooh, boy. This was suspenseful. Like, I was almost certain that Kofi was going to win it. But still, I was just like, nope, because I could easily muck this up. But no, Kofi Kingston is the WWE Champion. Yes! Oh, man, just let that creep in. Kofi Kingston is the new WWE Champion. And we don't have to hear about the new Daniel Bryan's eco-douche preaching anymore. But Kofi Kingston is the new WWE Champion. Like, holy shit. Fucking finally. And boy, was it a suspenseful one too. Nobody was getting squashed in that match. They made damn sure that it was a championship match to remember. What was not a championship match to remember, as is most matches involving this belt, was the United States Champion, where Samoa Joe squashed Rey Mysterio in like 55 seconds. But also, Rey had an injury that he said was like 90% back when he was being interviewed for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. But, when an athlete says 90%, it's probably more like 65-70% in all honesty. But what was dope was Rey Mysterio actually came out in a costume of the Spider-Man villain Mysterio. I'm sure everybody's been waiting for this, but I speak for me and me alone when I say I can't even tell you how many years I've been waiting for Rey Mysterio to acknowledge that whole Rey Mysterio connection, name sharing thing, whatever you want to call it. And now he finally fucking wore a costume of Quentin Mysterio Beck. Oh man, I can't wait for Spider-Man Far From Home now. I wonder if he chose now to do it, since Mysterio is going to be making his big screen debut in Far From Home in July. I don't know. I wish I could ask him. Also, the big grudge match. I say the big grudge match as if AJ Styles and Randy Orton wasn't a big fucking deal. Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre in literally his first singles match since Hell in a Cell, I want to say. Because he had that whole thing where Braun Strowman, for the whole month leading up to Hell in a Cell, was trying to, cash in on Money in the Bank. And that's when, Shield started gradually coming back to full force. And then I think after that Hell in a Cell, or it was Roman and Braun inside the Hell in a Cell, and then Dolph and Drew were fighting Seth and Dean outside and on top of the cell, while Brock Lesnar broke in and pretty much ended the match by attacking Roman and Braun. I feel like that was definitely Roman's last singles match before he had to take that leave, because pretty much like literally every week from after Hell in a Cell to Roman relinquishing the championship, it was all Shield matches. Not complaining. I was kind of complaining then because, taking the shit for granted and, didn't realize that, the big dog was going to have to leave for 18 weeks. And by that time, Dean will have already gotten sick of that stupid fucking heel turn and decide to leave the company. So yeah, appreciate everything, guys. But anyway, and it was amazing, his return to WrestleMania, even though he wasn't main event like he usually is, which no complaints here. Everybody else can complain, but I'm not. But this was still a big deal because people were thinking that, he might be back in time for, like, let's say Survivor Series or sometime in the fall, but nobody was holding their breath for that. And now he's here competing in WrestleMania, which the match itself was ass because Drew was, putting the pounding on him, and all Roman had to do was put in like the last 2 minutes of offense. And, I guess they just really wanted him to showcase a Superman punch and a spear one good time, and all of his other little signature moves that we know he does. And then 1, 2, 3, done. But, I'm okay with it, because Roman Reigns is back. Also back was Batista, and yeah, he retired almost as soon as that happened, because at first he stumbled out of his limo because he pulled up to the stage or the ramp in a limo, and then had a hard time getting in the ring, so you knew the ring rust was super real. And then Triple H came in all Mad Max like, which was weird because, the last Mad Max movie was like 3 years ago. And I don't think there's any Mad Max movies coming up. Is there? Let us know. You know where to hit us up. So, yeah, Triple H Batista fought. But Triple H, it was no holds barred, so any move went. But Triple H also pulled out some tools and, was choking him with a chain a little bit. No, this isn't that kind of show. He even took some pliers and pulled out Batista's nose ring, which was cringeworthy, but still not as cringeworthy as, when Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton were feuding, and Randy would put his finger through Jeff Hardy's gauge and just twist. That was fucking cringeworthy. This was just like, a quick shudder, but yeah. Yeah, pretty much, long story short, Triple H beat Batista. Batista retired. Triple H's in-ring career still going. For some reason. I mean, I guess Triple H has some other feuds left in him, despite Batista retiring and, him allegedly never going to fight Undertaker again. Who knows? Hunter Hearst Helmsley knows. And his father-in-law. So Kurt Angle's retirement match was right after that, and he fought Baron Corbin, and God, I had my fingers crossed that Baron Corbin was going to, get dirty deeds by Dean Ambrose, and that would be Dean piecing out from WWE. But no, he actually fought Baron Corbin, and Kurt Angle lost. But apparently everybody loses in their retirement match for some reason. I guess it's to help launch the not retiring superstar into their next thing. I don't know. Also, Elias had a nice little performance, and then he got interrupted by John Cena. But this is the professor of thugonomics. That John Cena. Good guy John Cena is filming another movie, but we're with this John Cena now, and it's fucking great. What's also fucking great, sort of, was Finn Balor bringing back the Demon to win back the Intercontinental Championship over Bobby Lashley. It's always great to see the Demon, but I don't know. The Demon still doesn't make for a great Intercontinental Champion. But then again, I'm sort of biased towards Seth Rollins, but I think we can say that. But still, always nice to see the Demon, because that entrance is fucking amazing. On to our main event, and oh boy, was it a main event. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, finally meeting up for the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, winner take all. And, the original plan was, Ronda would face Becky at Survivor Series, and then, Ronda would beat Becky and, further build the whole legend of Ronda Rousey and all that in her rookie year and everything, whatever. And then she would face Charlotte Flair tonight, and just Charlotte Flair. But alas, the man comes around, and bloody noses just make her better. And boy, was this a fight for the ages. Becky Lynch is going to be like the fucking main event for the next 5 years or something. Oh my god. There were tables, there were disarmers, there were attempted arm bars, there was figure eights, there was more tables, there was lots of throwing around of the word bitch. There was Rhonda saying, "You want tables? Tables are for bitches." There was just so much in this match. So we're sitting down for this match after waiting for it for so long. I bet this is what it's going to feel like when I finally sit down to watch Avengers Endgame. The one I've really been waiting for. I thought I'd been waiting for Infinity War all this time, but I feel like now Endgame is the one I'm waiting for. Which I guess we can compare Infinity War and Endgame to the Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar Universal Championship against this. Seth Rollins is the Infinity War, Becky Lynch is the Endgame. I don't think any better metaphor describes it. But yeah, these three are submission specialists, so obviously somebody was going to get pinned. And a lot of us thought it was going to be Charlotte, because come on, how are they just going to touch Ronda like that? Because even the few times that Ronda's lost, I don't think she's ever lost. No, she's definitely never lost in a singles match. But in like tag teams, it was always, the few times she lost, it was, the other person getting pinned. But no, Ronda got pinned. And it was kind of a fluke because her shoulders went up briefly in between the 1, 2, 3 count, but the ref counted 1, 2, 3. But who gives a shit, because the man is now Becky Two Belts. She is the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. And with that said, I can't think of a better way to end it. But good night, and on to Money in the Bank.